Free will is an illusion. I touched on this topic a little bit in my first video, Know Self, Lesson 1, and in this video I'd like to expand on that. Just about the idea that viewing free will as an illusion or us not having free will can actually benefit us. And let me first just start by acknowledging that it does feel like we have free will, and that actually can feel pretty good, especially when things are going well for us and we get to take credit for everything because it's our own free will, right? But there's actually a lot of harm that the idea of free will can cause us. It can cause us regret, dissatisfaction, fear of the future. But I like to look at things or describe things in a positive note, or try to. So I'll describe these things as benefits of giving up your idea of free will. So let's take each one by one. First one is regret. So let's say you got in a car crash and you think to yourself, oh man, if I just would have taken the other route to work this morning, or if it just wasn't for this idiot that ran into me, or if I just wasn't turning the radio station or looking at my phone. And there's actually nothing you could have done to prevent that car crash. And you might think to yourself, well, what about all these things that you just mentioned? Well, just because you can imagine it doesn't make it true. Any kind of fiction writing is just imagination, but doesn't make it real. And that's all this is of I could have done something different. That's just your imagination. And you couldn't have actually done something different. And I can prove it to you, because if you could have, then you would have. The fact that you got in a car crash means that you couldn't have avoided it, because you didn't avoid it. And then once you realize that, it allows you to give up this regret about the idea that you could have done something to prevent this horrible thing from happening. So the next topic is dissatisfaction. Lots of people are not happy with their current situation when it comes to how much money that they have, what kind of shape that they're in. They have some kind of chronic pain, like lower back pain, and they think that they could have, if they just made different choices, they wouldn't be in the situation that they're in. Maybe if they would have not taken out that credit card, or made different spending decisions, or if they would have signed up for that gym, or not eaten that type of food for so long, or sat up straight. All these things that could have been done to make their current situation different, but we just got done saying that you couldn't have made those choices because you didn't. And so all of those choices and your genes and different societal influences brought you to where you are today. And that was either out of your control, or those decisions were already over. And there's no point in really going back and rehashing it, because you can't change it anyway. And that's not to say that giving up your idea of free will will make any of these situations more pleasant. It's still obviously not great to have chronic pain, but thinking that you could have done something different to prevent whatever unpleasant situation you're in just takes something bad and makes it worse. It just makes you feel worse about your current situation. And giving up your idea of free will just helps you be more accepting of this is the way it is. And the more radical acceptance you can have around your current situation, the better you'll feel about it. And you can actually take it to an extreme. And sometimes it's helpful for me to just tell myself to surrender to it, surrender to the pain, surrender to the discomfort, surrender to my current situation. And once you totally give in to what's happening, then you can start to shift it and start to whenever possible, turn it into more of a positive thing. But that's more advanced right now. I'm just describing how the idea of free will actually makes your experience of life worse, and by giving up your idea of free will, how that can improve it. And so the last example here is fear of the future. So the example here is, if you see a spider, a bunch of thoughts run through your head. Oh, dang it, now I have to go and try and kill this thing. What if it falls on my face? What if it runs away behind a couch and I don't find it again? Like, all the stress that it's going to cause. And all of this fear about what to do about the spider is coming from the idea that you think that there's something you can do to prevent it from getting away or falling on your face. But really, you know what to do. You know that you just need to get a shoe or some toilet paper and kill it. And you're going to do the best that you can do with that. And so worrying about it isn't really going to change what happens. If you miss it and it falls on your face, well, then you'll probably have plenty of adrenaline going, and you'll be able to deal with it pretty quickly. It'll all be over within a couple seconds. And there's nothing you could do to prevent that anyway. You're going to do the best that you can do, and you know what to do. You just have to do it. And the more you think about it, the worse it makes it. And so, again, that's not to say that a spider falling on your face is going to be a great experience for you, but it goes back to the previous section again, where you really can just give in to the present moment. And if you tell yourself that there's nothing you can do to change what's going to happen, there's nothing you can do to guarantee that you'll be able to kill that spider on the first time. And there's nothing you can do to prevent the anxiety that comes up in your body when you're about to crush it. And so again, it's not the most fun thing to do in the world, but by being accepting of it and just letting it happen, it doesn't have as much control over you. That fear doesn't have as much power. And that's really what I'm trying to get to in this whole video, is to say that when you give up your idea of free will, it just makes your experience better, because you don't have as much regret, you don't have as much dissatisfaction, and you don't have as much fear of what's going to happen, because you can't change it anyway. Most of the things that you're afraid of don't actually happen, and if they do, they're usually not as bad as you think they're going to be, and you're able to handle them better than you think you're able to. So we talked about the benefits of giving up the idea of free will. Now let's start talking about the objections that people have to this idea. So the first two I talked about in my first video, No Self, Lesson 1. Religion, again, if you believe in an all-knowing God, that is basically determinism. And in the Bible, it talks a lot about giving up your free will for the will of God. And so again, religion is completely compatible with no free will. Personal responsibility and accountability, there's also no contradiction here. This basically just means you have to clean up your own messes and fix the problem, or apologize for it, or both. And it doesn't mean that you could have prevented the problem. And then also, what do we do with criminals? Do we just let them off the hook because it wasn't their fault, because they didn't have free will? Well, no, because capital punishment is a good deterrent in some cases, and we have to protect society in some way. So prisons and jails are one way of doing that. So there still should be punishment, but it just takes the judgment out of it. It takes the hate out of it. It's more of if someone does something bad, it's more of a tragedy than something than someone you need to hate. And wouldn't the world be a better place if we were able to give up a little bit of our hate? So giving up free will is just one way to do that. The next objection is that no free will gives people the excuse to be lazy or have loose morals. And that's not true, because regardless of what you think about free will, it's still a true statement that working hard and setting goals and having high integrity is your best chance to have a good life or improve your life. And so for sure, keep doing that. Keep working hard, keep having integrity, because that's the best shot you have. So then the next one is that if we don't have free will and our current situation is basically determined by our genes, our past decisions, which we can't change, our environment, our parents, then doesn't that just give us an excuse to play the victim card? That, it's not, it kind of goes back to the personal responsibility, but we are not a victim of our past, because in each moment, the past doesn't really exist. Even when you're thinking about the past, you're doing it in the present. The past is like the wake of a ship. It just kind of fades away. It's not, it's evidence that the ship was there, but the wake is not the ship, and the wake doesn't drive the ship. And in each moment, you're able to make a choice to totally independent of all of your previous choices and all of the past, which is just an idea that you have in your head in the present. And so what do I mean by you can make a choice or decision? Isn't choice the same as free will? Well, not exactly. So there's a good comedy sketch by Eddie Izzard where he's describing a situation where someone's going around and giving people the option between cake or death. So they're asking each person, cake or death, and everyone's obviously choosing cake. And then the guy starts to say, oh man, we're gonna run out of cake by this rate. We didn't expect such a rush. And so in that situation, that's a choice, right? Cake or death. I mean, there's two options. You can choose one or the other. But is that really your own free will to choose one or the other? Wouldn't everyone really choose cake? And isn't that the same as at all of our other decisions in life? Don't we choose things based on what we think is best? And can we really do otherwise? Even if we choose not to choose, it's based on the fact that we think that will make us feel better or put us in a better spot than deciding. And it's all based on imperfect information. Again, if you choose something, it doesn't guarantee that what you think is going to happen is going to happen. And so all that there is really left for you to do is continue to make choices based on imperfect information, based on what you think will be the best. But the fact that it is imperfect information, the fact that you don't know what's going to happen once you make that choice, means that you don't have to worry about it. In the first lesson, I said that you can just sit back and relax and let things happen. But that doesn't mean that you're lazy. That just means that in your mind, you don't have to stress about everything. You can make choices that you think are best and just let whatever happens. And you don't have to worry about making the right choice, because you don't know if it's the right choice, because you can't predict the future and you don't know what you don't know. So yes, choices have consequences. But all you need to do is make the best choice that you can and not worry about what happens. So let's recap the benefits here. If you give up your idea of free will, you're able to accept the past and not have regrets about it. have radical acceptance about the present instead of being dissatisfied with your present situation. And then you can just let whatever happens for the future. You don't have to be worried about it. You know what you want to do, so all that's left to do is to do it. And if you think of all the things that you have regret about, or shame, or things that you're dissatisfied, whether it be money, or what you said to someone, or a mistake that you made, or any fears that you have about the future, about what to do next with your career, or what you're going to say at a party, or how your kids are going to grow up. You can't control those things. And once you give up your control of those things and just make whatever decisions that you think are best, it actually allows you to be more productive, because you're not holding yourself back. You're not in your own way by being afraid and stressed and having regrets about things and just playing things over and over in your head. It just gives you all this extra capacity to think about your current situation and the best choice that you can make. But all of this is not quite as easy as it sounds. Because again, we all know to have money, you need to spend less than you make. To be organized, you have to have a place for everything and everything in its place. And to get in shape, you need to eat healthy and work out. I mean, all of those things are very easy to say and very hard to do. Just think about all the people that struggle in those areas. But that is the whole point of me making these videos, is that it is possible to live your life without regret, without dissatisfaction, without fear, without suffering. And giving up your free will is one step in that direction. And another step is identifying with consciousness, and through a little meditation and gratefulness and compassion in there, and you'll be good to go. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to hear more like this. And thank you. I will talk to you later. Bye.